So, I love my school, or at least that's what I have to say. School is the only one place in the world where you can sit down and stare at a blank wall for 8 hours straight every single day for almost 12 years and still be interested in that blank white wall. School is the place where many of us write our first sentences, read our first books. But school's missing something. Something so important that I dare say that it could change the world and lives of literally millions of people around the world. But before I get to this world-changing idea, let me explain something. This is SB. This, what you're looking at here, is approximately 100% of the educated world. Employees, self-employed, business, and investors. Divided into 4 categories. So, the first 2 categories are 90% of the people, and business and investors, entrepreneurs, are only 10%. But even with 90% of the people in the first 2 categories, they own only 10% of the wealth, while business and investment owns 90% of the wealth. So either I wrote something wrong or something just doesn't really make sense, but it actually does. Because if you look at the most common thing between employees and self-employees, it's that their time equals money. It's like a hand pump. You're pushing a hand pump, and as long as you're pushing it, you're getting a return of money. 100% of your time is 100% of your money. But if you look at the most common thing between businesses and investors, their money isn't depending on their presence. Like a businessman, he would own hundreds of people to press the hand pump from him. He's not sitting there pressing it for himself. He has others do it for him. So 1% of his time will equal 100% of an employee's. And an investor, he uses his money, and his money starts working for itself. He puts his money, and other people start working for money, and it starts going like a plant. Now let's talk about jobs, like the word J-O-B. All of us, from the time that our kids are little to the time they're going off to college, we tell them, grow up and get a job. Get good grades, get a job. Go to college, get a degree, and get a job. Well, why are we telling them to get a job? Because no one with a 9-to-5 job ever bought the biggest house. No one with a 9-to-5 job is ever going to buy an island. Because with a job, you're just over broke. Because with a job, you're pumping a hand pump for most of your time. And the little amount of money that you're left with is used in expenses, and then more expenses. And then the little amount of profit that you've made is used in luxuries and wasted for most of us, right? So then why are we telling our kids to get jobs? Why is school telling our kids to get jobs? School teaches you one thing, and that's the worker mentality. It takes away your creativeness, your uniqueness, your self-intelligence, and it makes you a worker. It feeds you information. And I remember a few weeks ago, my sisters, they started using glue and paste, and they made putty. And they started selling putty in school, and they made a bit of money from that. But then, school shut it down. They said, you cannot sell here anymore. This is not a business place. You're not to sell in school anymore. They're shutting down small startups that kids are starting on their own. And this even happens at home. Imagine Warren Buffett as a little kid, and he goes up to his dad, and he's like, Dad, I want some money to invest. And his dad tells him to shut up and go and study to get better grades so he can be an engineer when he grows up. But he became an investor. Now he's one of the richest people in the world with a net worth of over $70 billion. The reason why millions of people don't become investors and business people is not because business is hard. It's not because you need to get lucky to become a good investor. It's because we're never taught financial literacy in school, as Robert Kiyosaki says. And we're encouraging our kids to become financially literate, teaching them about money and how to use it, teaching them about business, and taking it away from becoming a corporate slave to a person who can run people. So I'm not saying that I want like 1,000 little kids with button-down t-shirts working on their startups. I'm talking about introducing the entrepreneurial mindset to today's modern school, teaching students how to become more of an entrepreneur than a worker, breaking that worker mentality. And even in the worst case scenario, when a student does become a worker with an entrepreneurial mindset, that's a better worker than a worker who only knows how to pump a hand pump. Because a worker with an entrepreneurial mindset knows how to run a business. He knows how to increase the success rate of a business. And I want you guys to help me and help everybody else and teach financial literacy in today's modern school. That's my idea. Thank you very much.